imagine quite a bit.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going to Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
It's the best time of year to be a Star Wars fan, Kenton.
And it's the first day of school at the same time. I don't think I can handle much more of this.
Oh, it's so
Too
weird
much.
how the timing worked out on this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we've never had all this, of course, all the Star Wars information came out of D23 this past weekend. So we're just brimming. We're just chomping at the bit to talk about it. In addition, we got a special, I don't even want to call it a trailer. It's a quote-unquote special look at the Rise of Skywalker that dropped this morning. Did they do any kind of special tie-in, like through Good Morning America or anything? Or is this what they saw at D23? They finally showed it to everyone else?
This is what they saw at D23, and everybody and there's a billion articles that spoiled it.
I know. Someone spoiled it at work at CJOB. He knows who he is, and damn you for spoiling it.
Hey, there's 1,000 articles about it. It was trending on Twitter. And then once again, why can't everybody just see it at the same time? And I guess this is their way of kind of making it worth people's time to go there.
You got to give the people who sit there and wait in line and kind of put in the time and effort a reward for that. I think yes, you do.
No, you don't.
I would want that. You want people. Otherwise, nobody will come out. Everyone will stay at home on their computers and they'll wait till it gets dropped on the internet and they'll just watch it. Otherwise, there's no incentive. You're going to be doing a panel in front of an empty theater. I'm joking.
The one thing I noticed, I think they made everybody put their cell phones away.
Oh, I'm sure they
did.
But there is there a bad copy of it?
There was a 10 seconds of the least interesting parts of that trailer made its way on. I think it was part of that, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was, unless they were even fudging that. But I don't think so. I think it was.
Okay.
But it was like 11 seconds, and that just stopped in the middle. And it was like that's what I guess when they took the cell phone away. But there was nothing until this morning, and I kept checking, and then eventually it showed up.
Okay, we're going to get to that last.
Yeah.
We're going to go in the order in which things were released over the weekend. And, of course, D23 being a Disney convention, expo or whatever they call it, there are other things like Marvel stuff and more Disney stuff, all kinds of the Lady and the Tramp movie. Woohoo! Everyone's who cares about that? So we're going to focus obviously on the Star Wars stuff. So the first big news, and this is confirming what we already knew, Ewan McGregor is coming back to star as Obi-Wan Kenobi again in a series that will be running on Disney Plus.
Did you watch him walk onto the stage?
I did not see anything. No. Here's a photo of him, though. And I mean, he looks awesome. He looks exactly the same. 20 years later, and he looks exactly the same as he did in the original films.
He still looks like the 19-year-old Padawan he was in Episode 1.
Well, to be fair, he never looked like a 19-year-old Padawan, but they try to young him down a bit for that.
As I like to point out, the worst acting he ever did was when you learn that there's that Padme is Amidala in Episode 1, and everybody goes, really? And he goes, huh? Like he's super surprised. And we're like, well, those Jedi powers just are not working. Because why would you be surprised when nobody watching the movie is?
Now, what do we know about this Obi-Wan series?
Well, it has to take place. There's only a limited time when it can take place, which is between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Okay, so it's Obi-Wan and his adventures on Tatooine?
And maybe off of Tatooine, since we don't know what happens.
Yeah, that's true.
And meanwhile, the guy who played Uncle Owen is like, yes. He's just like waiting by the phone. The young guy who played Uncle Owen.
And Aunt Beru as well. They still go to conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were at the last celebration.
Well,
one of them was.
That Uncle Owen, the young Uncle Owen, Yunkle Owen, was in lots of movies there for a stretch.
Oh, he has been, yeah. He was
I can't remember the actor's name.
No, but he was in, I'm trying to think of the one, Midnight Special, I think it is, and he was in that. Yeah, he's actually a very good actor.
That also means we will likely see Darth Maul.
Yes.
And that also means that Ezra will show up, perhaps.
Well, I mean,
we know.
They tied into Rebels at some point where we did see that Darth Maul storyline. So we can see, and by the way, I mean, Darth Maul obviously was in Solo. We're not getting a sequel to Solo, but there's certainly plenty of room for Darth Maul to live in the Star Wars universe, and lots of more Darth Maul stories coming out. So I'm looking forward to that. I think, again, it was one of the biggest tragedies that they killed him right off the bat and didn't give us more Darth Maul in the rest of that trilogy.
I
didn't like that.
In retrospect, that might have been the way to go. But in the end, this might work out for the best.
When I first saw the Phantom, not a Phantom Menace.
The Phantom.
When I first saw that, I thought like many people did, that Darth Maul would be the equivalent of Darth Vader because
Yes.
there's a Darth and there's an Emperor, and so there's two
And
of
he's
them.
on all the packages for the figures.
Oh yeah, they marketed the
Yeah.
hell out of that guy,
And he was awesome.
he was very good. That's the best scene in the film.
Yeah.
And then they killed him. I'm like, oh, like, so what does that leave? Who's the Darth Vader in this? And of course, Darth Vader is Darth Vader, who's Anakin, who becomes Darth Vader. But I don't know. I always kind of thought that was not great. So yeah, I mean, I have friends who are very excited about this Ewan McGregor coming back. It's something fans have been clamoring for years. We all, I think, agree that he did a great job as Obi-Wan Kenobi. One of the first things I remember thinking when I saw the first trailer for The Phantom Menace, when I went to see it at, I believe it was Wing Commander. I went to watch that movie just to see the Star Wars trailer. And I was blown away about how much he sounded like Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
Like, he really nailed that accent and that voice. Sounded just like Alec Guinness.
Well, now we're going to see him morph right into him, probably, the way they...
Well, it's weird because in the Rebels iteration of Obi-Wan, it definitely looked more like Alec Guinness than it did Ewan. And so the actor who does, I'm blanking on his name now, but there's an actor who does the voice of Obi-Wan in all the Clone Wars series and everything like that. And he did some voice work for Rebels, but only when we see the young Obi-Wan on through a hologram or something, or through the holocron. There's a message. But there was a different actor who did the voice of Obi-Wan when we saw him later on in Rebels, the actual person. So interesting ideas there. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, this is going to follow on Disney Plus. We don't know release dates. We don't know much else. I think they're talking about it starting to shoot next year. So we might see it in 2021. Nothing else at this point as far as details.
Yeah, if you go online and look at the YouTube clip of him walking out there, the crowd goes nuts. And then he says to Kathleen Kennedy, "Ask me if I'm going to be playing Obi-Wan again." And so she says she does, and he goes, "Yes," and the crowd goes crazy.
So they had to actually have that formality of her.
Well, he
saying...
said it. Well, he does it in a lighthearted way.
Okay.
Like, because he's been asked that question probably for the last
20 years.
Since the last movie.
Okay.
So it's great. It's awesome that he's going to be doing that, and I can't wait to see him. To see what they're going to do. And the other interesting thing about this is there's been comic books about this period of time.
Yeah.
Star Wars Rebels, of course, had a little bit
Sure, there's
on this
been
period of time.
I don't know if there's been video games, but there's been other like novels, I'm sure, that have taken place. So there's a lot to draw from. Even if they did dismiss all that stuff that's non-canon, they can still draw from it if they want to. So and there was going to be an Obi-Wan. No, that was never confirmed. The Obi-Wan movie was never confirmed, right?
Well, they floated a lot that has ultimately turned out to be true.
Well, but the thing is, it ends up being a series, not a movie, is what that is. So,
but people were clamoring for an Obi-Wan movie, so they're going to get, and maybe this will be better than a 2-hour film to be able to see him like really live in the role for a number of episodes. I'm very excited for this. That really makes me want to sign up for that Disney Plus.
I'm signing up for it. This also does. Speaking of films that became series, we had the first trailer for The Mandalorian, which is the first one of the signature launch series on Disney Plus, launching on November 12th, so just a few months away. Let's watch the trailer now, and then we'll talk about it. Just realizing this isn't doing a lot for the podcast because there's no dialogue. Is there any dialogue? Was that Apollo Creed?
Yes, there is some dialogue coming. In fact, the most important dialogue I will suggest in any Star Wars movie ever is coming.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
So cool.
Oh,
Man, love it. Even the logo and him walking in the A there, that's so cool. And Werner Herzog saying the one line in the entire thing. So does this is supposedly confirms your suspicions that this is indeed Boba Fett, because it is about a bounty hunter.
And they've already said that that's IG-11. Like, I don't know. He looks a lot like 88 to me.
Well, it could be different software. They upgrade your iOS. It could be the same thing. It does look a lot like IG-88 for sure.
I still say this is Boba Fett.
Okay.
And I noticed for the one, and then Jon Favreau says no, it's not. But I also noted, and he directs this, of course, or
he's a showrunner.
Showrunner, right?
Yeah.
I should say, and directs some.
I'm sure he
episodes.
directs some.
Yeah.
I'm sure he voiced.
Right.
He works on all aspects of it.
I noticed when people were posting stuff from this on Instagram over the weekend that they're like, this has to be Boba Fett. Like more people came around.
Well, I think the awareness of this series blew up after this trailer came out, because I think all us little Star Wars nerds knew about it, but the fact that Disney Plus started heavily advertising in Canada this week and probably across the world as it's approaching. This is one of their big series that's launching on it, so they're promoting the heck out of that, and the idea that this is it takes place post Return of the Jedi. I love that shot of all the stormtrooper helmets on stakes and stuff. Like, it's awesome. This is the world I want to see. This is the immediately after Return of the Jedi. We know what happens 30 years later, but we don't know what happens immediately after. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that part of the Star Wars universe.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of fun. Some great shots in that scene. It's got a real Western kind of feel to it, which I think is intentional. Now here's the issue though. If it is Boba Fett, it's not a whitewashing issue, but it's a racial issue, because the actor, I don't remember the name of the actor who plays Jango Fett and therefore Boba Fett and therefore all the Clone War troopers, because they're all clones of the same person, but he's Maori, right? That's the indigenous person for Australia, or around that area of the South Pacific. So he's the actor who's played that for years, and all the animated clones look like him. They did that thing where they said that old guy with the white beard in Return of the Jedi was him, but that's all just kind of retro, blah, 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 and he's white, so that's not a great idea.
No, that guy was Captain Rex.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but same person,
right,
though, right?
right?
Same actor, ideally, is because the actor who's playing the Mandalorian is Pedro Pascal, who's Hispanic, and by the way, a really good actor. Have you seen Prospect?
No, but I've seen Narcos.
Narcos, for sure.
Yeah.
But Prospect is a phenomenal film. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix film, and I definitely would recommend you seeing that. He's excellent in it. He's not Maori, though. He's not the right race to be. Well,
let's see what happens. We have yet to hear a voice come out of this, or a helmet being taken off.
But did they retroactively make his voice have an Australian accent? Because the actor is Australian, right?
Well, wouldn't it be funny if they were pulling a switcheroo on us of some kind?
Well, what are the chances of another Mandalorian being a bounty hunter? That's not like, they were a race of warriors, like kind of thing when they're fighting during the Clone Wars and afterwards. And the clone, it's so funny how the clone trooper armor obviously looks like Jango Fett's armor, but they all look like that. All Mandalorian armor has the same design and that kind of stuff. So. I don't know.
It also looks very Tatooine.
Yeah, there's that as well. It looks to be, there's that one shot that they cut off so that guy's stuck in that door, and it looks like it's like one of those irising doors. It looks like he gets cut in half.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't see that part. But will this be a gorier, more adult-themed series?
Well, it looks intense, but I don't think we're going to see any. I don't think we're seeing anything that's gorier than we've already seen.
We see very little blood in Star Wars.
Some.
Well, some.
Yeah.
The most being in one of the first scenes in the movie, in the cantina scene when that guy gets his arm chopped off. But it would be interesting for this to be a more kind of 18 plus themed Star Wars. I think a lot of us would like to see that, and they tried doing it with the intent was to do it with Rogue One. They pulled back on it because they were worried about alienating the families and the kids. I do want to see them kind of go full in on a grown-up Star Wars series.
Well, that's what this looks like. And back to Boba Fett for a second. If this guy isn't Boba Fett, he could also be on the mission to pull Boba Fett out of the Sarlacc pit, right?
That's true, yes. Yeah.
So there's a number of ways that this could happen. My guess is we don't have any kind of knowledge whatsoever that the name Boba Fett is not spoken until probably the last episode of the first season.
Okay.
Is my guess, to leave us hungry for more. Don't you think?
Yeah, sure. I could see them doing that. We've got some great actors in here. We've got Apollo Creed. Carl Weathers. Like, he looks awesome. Like,
looks great.
So good. Werner Herzog, of course. Gus Fring. Giancarlo Esposito, so good and of course he's perfect as a imperial whatever he is officer. Looks so good. I'm like, I just kind of want to see him.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to see a lot of the aspects of this.
One of the things I love about this trailer is Werner Herzog is essentially narrating the same way he has done every one of his documentaries.
That's right, yeah.
And so I love that, and part of me was like, wow, I wish we had him narrating every episode. Like, the life of a bounty hunter is complicated.
I just want to see a documentary like this. I would love for this to be a documentary-looking series like The Office, but in Star Wars universe.
I just saw
narrated by Werner Herzog.
By the way, new on iTunes is Werner Herzog's documentary. It's him interviewing Gorbachev.
Oh, okay.
It's called Meeting Gorbachev. It is great. It's an awesome documentary, but everything that you want to see about what's great about Werner Herzog is in that documentary. If there's people listening who don't know why everyone was so pumped to see him, you might want to see Meeting Gorbachev, and you'll sort of see what this guy's day job normally involves. And in the film, he gives Gorbachev a birthday cake that he brings to him, except one of the letters has fallen off in transit, so it's like misspelled. It's his name misspelled. So there's some great stuff in that movie. But I mean, just to hear that guy's voice talking about bounty hunters. Like, it's amazing.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So
this looks just prime.
I've been told, I haven't confirmed this, but I've been told this is going to be released on a weekly basis. It's not going to drop all at once. So starting November 12th, 8 episodes, once per week. So we'll have to watch it like a bunch of chumps every week.
Yeah, but also, there goes my 30 days free idea.
Well, exactly.
That's what they're doing.
That's exactly it. Yeah, for sure.
And by then that'll lead us into Cassian Andor, Disney Plus series.
Or
and
the
that'll
Loki
lead us,
series or whatever else. They're going to keep you hooked.
Obi-Wan. But I kind of like that. What I like is the constant sort of tantalizing Star Wars content to keep the Star Wars fan on Disney Plus, and that really looks like that's what they're doing.
Oh, for sure.
Like Netflix does the same thing, right? Like there's sometimes you watch heavy Netflix, sometimes you don't watch it as much, but there's always the promise of the next thing coming along that you watched before.
I'm just going to check my calendar here for a second and see how this works. So the 12th is a Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it doesn't quite go. So that'll if it goes every week, it'll take us right until December 31st, and it'll be which will be about a week and a half after the release of the Rise of Skywalker. So it'll cross over a bit, but it's a good way to also keep Star Wars hype going in the weeks leading up to the release of the film. And I think this is also like, it's so weird how this weekend was like, okay, boom. This is like, we went full into Star Wars mode. You know, we talked about how there was no news over the summertime. Now there's so much to talk about, and I think just going to increase going forward week after week. We're going to have a great stuff to talk about on this podcast in the weeks to come.
Oh, yeah. In the years and the decades.
I also want to say that I'm going to start keeping track of this. So this episode of the Star Wars Nerds podcast, season 5, episode 1. That's how we're marking this. And we started.
So we're doing seasons now.
Yeah, well, we always have been. I just didn't start tracking it that way. So we started this podcast in the fall of 2015, ahead of the release of The Force Awakens, which it'll be 4 years ago. So we're starting season 5.
4 years?
Yeah, well, it's
2019.
2019.
Is that when? No, but I mean, what was the year that Force Awakens came out?
2015.
Oh my God, time flies.
I know. And Pablo came out that year as well to Comic-Con. So I'm going to start, and because the reason is because on Anchor you can actually mark the episodes that way. Now I'm also going to be letting people know I'm going to be uploading bonus content. I'm going to have to time it out, but I'm going to re-upload all of our watch-alongs that we've done. We've watched every single Star Wars movie. We've done every single one right now, haven't we?
Yeah, we sure have.
So we've done every single Star Wars movie. I'm going to re-upload those to the podcast feed as bonus episodes.
We did Solo, right?
Pretty sure we did Solo.
If we didn't do one, that was the one we didn't do, but I think we did.
I'm pretty sure we did.
How could we forget?
How could
both of us forget?
And it's funny because I checked today, And now we're down to only 2 Star Wars films on Netflix, just Solo and The Last Jedi, and those are going to be disappearing soon. So if you want to watch those two movies on Netflix, now's the time, because they'll be on Disney Plus when that launches in a few months.
You know what I did this weekend, and I didn't plan on it at all, but YouTube force-fed me the deleted scenes from Solo, which I'd never seen for some reason.
I've never seen those either.
And a few very helpful people on YouTube have put them all together. It's only 15 minutes long or whatever. Those are great deleted scenes. There are some excellent stuff in there, including what I think is a more hilarious bridge between Solo flying for the Imperial Navy and being shipped to Mimban.
Oh, okay.
There's an interesting...
They don't show us that. They just cut to it.
There is an interesting little story there that unless you watch the deleted scenes, you would never know. But it's great. Yeah,
I'll watch that.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed all of the deleted scenes, I have to say.
Cool.
Excellent.
I'll check that out. All right. The next thing that came out of D23 was the release of the poster for the Rise of Skywalker. Here it is. We have it up on our screen here. Of course, you can find it on our social media or just Google Star Wars poster and you can see it. And I think this is probably my favorite. It's now my wallpaper on my phone. This is my favorite poster of the modern era. I love these. Like the last one was good. The Rise of the Last Jedi was good. This is very similar thematically in that it's Rey and Kylo Ren. The face overlooking them, though, is the Emperor, which I love. And you see, like, them two, they're just kind of, this is obviously from the film. We'll talk about the little glimpse we saw of this scene. But they're fighting, and they're kind of on this, whatever it looks like, an outcropping of some sort of tower or something that's been knocked over. And they're obviously in the middle of their fight.
I actually think that is the Death Star, the crashed Death Star.
Oh, I see. Yes. Right. Okay, could be. So we see the Emperor over them. We see what appears to be is that Force lightning on the sides, or is that just kind of looking like?
Well, it's the classic red versus blue motif,
right? But we've never seen red Force lightning, is what I'm saying.
No, I think they've sweetened it for the purposes of the poster, but it could be
okay.
Because certainly Force lightning is something only we've seen the Sith.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if Yoda's ever done it, but I don't think he had done for it. Oh, he did call lightning down in the Last Jedi, so. I don't know. Interesting.
Either. But by the way, now that you've described the poster so nicely, I'm going to throw this in there. And I saw people debating online. Okay, you said, it's the Emperor looking on. And I agree, that's the Emperor looking on. Some people see the face of Luke Skywalker in that Emperor. Is there anything to that, or is that just people who aren't looking close enough?
People who are looking too closely,
I think you know what it is? It's the blue stuff makes it look like Luke's beard. Is that what they're seeing?
Maybe, but I don't think that's meant to be like that.
That's not some cross between the Emperor and Luke, right?
No,
it's nothing like that.
No. I don't see any other features that would be, and you'd have to point it out to me. I didn't catch that right away.
See, I went all in on Emperor as well, but once I saw people debating it, but that's what Star Wars fans.
No, it would need to be. If it was going to be Luke, he'd have to have more of a mustache. He does not have a mustache.
I can't believe the Emperor is back, and. By the way, I want the real Emperor. I don't want some ghost or possession or whatever.
What about a clone?
If it's the actor in the flesh,
no,
hooray.
But it will be him, but it will be a clone with the Emperor's consciousness placed inside it, like they did in the Dark Empire.
I want to see the cackling Emperor there in reality. Not possessing people, but the actor there.
Do you think
not a ghost?
We do a flashback to the scene where he gets thrown down into the pit by Darth Vader, and he just lands softly on a trampoline or something at the bottom. He does not die as we thought he died.
Well, we're gonna watch the trailer in a second, and the trailer, to me, one of the there's definitely, and we won't talk about it now, but we'll get to it. The whole trailer leads to one shot that they want us to talk about, but there's something else that I think that we already predicted this at the end of the last movie. Force ghosts aplenty, right? That's what we're saying.
Well, sure. Luke's going to be a Force ghost. We know that.
All kinds.
We might see Yoda. Hey, we might see Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I know.
Now that Ewan McGregor's back in the mix.
And maybe a little Qui-Gon action.
Hey, why not? Let's just have a big party.
A little Liam Neeson action going on there.
Yeah.
So if it's Force ghost extravaganza, then Emperor maybe is for that. The poster's not to be taken literally, I don't think, but maybe parts of it. But
he does.
Not all
he looks
of it.
either like a Force ghost or a hologram.
That's what I'm worried about.
Because we do see him. It's interesting because we see him when we first see the Emperor in Star Wars the first time. He's a hologram talking to Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back. So we don't actually see him as a person until Return of the Jedi. So yeah, that is, a familiar. It does look like a hologram, actually, the more I look at it.
It does look like a hologram, but I'm still on the side of, if the film's called Rise of Skywalker, that the character of Luke Skywalker shall rise again. I just think that...
You don't think it refers to Rey?
I think it could have double meaning. I think it might even have triple meaning. But I think we like Search for Spock. Remember that? What? He's alive? Okay, so...
He was, by the way, he was directing the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. He was directing the film. That's how they got him back.
By the way, a lot. I got to stop saying. Both of us do it.
Yeah.
By the way, we always say that. It's something I'm noticing today more than usual.
By the way.
By the way.
By the way. All right, we got it out of our system.
There you go.
I shall never say those banned words again. You don't call it Search of Spock if you don't find
find Spock at the end.
And I don't think you call it Rise of Skywalker
if Skywalker doesn't rise.
Yeah, habeas corpus. Show us Luke Skywalker in this film, and I think we will. I think we'll get that. I do. And I think Luke, and even Mark Hamill saying this is my last one, that doesn't mean you can't. Like, Luke Skywalker can live again in the imaginations of people and literally come to life on screen, and that doesn't mean we ever see him again in a motion picture. But I think that needs to happen, and I think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I don't think you call the film that unless you want to...
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the only Skywalker, we're assuming, even if Rey is related, that her last name would be Skywalker. It's not. I mean, it's, as far as we know, her name is Rey, and that's it. But the
Organa.
Well, yeah, or
more likely,
or Solo,
I'd say.
right? Or Solo.
Yeah.
But the only Skywalkers we've ever had in Star Wars are Anakin and Luke, right? The only two Skywalkers.
Right.
So it's got to be one of those. It's either that or Anakin's back.
We're going to watch it
Yeah,
now.
let's watch it.
I think we need to watch it because there's something in here that is absolutely makes you go, hey, it's Darth. So what the hell is that about?
And with me as always is Darth.
Okay,
right,
so let's
watch. This is the quote unquote special look. It's not a trailer.
Is this all music, this one, or is there some?
No, there's I don't know. Let's see. We'll talk if there's music.
All right.
Just shots from the original trilogy.
We've passed on all we know. A 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight. Your journey. Yes, it's in.
All right, so a little bit of race.
A little Rey theme, yeah.
So I have to tell you this story. So you texted me and said this was up just before I left the house for work. I just put it on I don't watch it on my TV. I have YouTube on the TV, so I watched it there. And oh shoot, I shouldn't have clicked that because we're gonna go back and talk about stuff.
That's in it?
You want to do that, or do you want to do shot by shot, or do you want to just?
Yeah, well, we can go back in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, but go ahead, tell your story.
So I teared up I got emotional about this.
It's crazy.
And it wasn't about the. Okay, first of all, I have to say I thought this was a fake trailer because it started out with all this old footage. I'm like, somebody put this together. This is another one of those ones that looks really good. Now, if it hadn't been from the official Star Wars YouTube account, I might have thought that. I might have been more convinced. But I'm like, this looks like something that. That's why I don't think of it as a real trailer, because you don't spend half your trailer showing footage from other films. So yeah, the first half of it is all these, like, it just shows clips from all the movies leading up to this movie. But the idea of this being the final film of the story got me emotional, because you think about how this has been around my entire life. This story has been around my entire life. It's been something I've loved in my entire life, and it's over. It's going to be over. This is it. Like, I think that idea is upsetting to me.
I don't know. There will always be Star Wars movies, and now there will always be Star Wars TV series or streaming series, I guess.
I don't think it's going to exist in this form anymore, right? The idea of it being 3 movies.
Oh, I think so. Well,
trilogies.
Ryan Johnson is doing one, and that's movie. Those are motion pictures, and similarly. Well, we don't know what's going on with those Game of Thrones guys anymore, do we?
Oh, I don't know why.
There's they're signing all kinds of deals with all kinds of places, and who the hell knows how that's all going to shake.
People are also very upset with them about how Game of Thrones ended, so that could be part of the issue as well.
They'll never work in that town again. No. Something tells me they'll be all right. But I think, I don't know. Yes, that's the end of this series of 9 films that George Lucas always had in mind. And so you're right to be wistful about this particular storyline, but if the money's there, I think the onus will Disney would do fan service.
No, but I don't. Here's what my theory is that they're not going to continue with even Rey and Finn and all these new characters, Poe. If they continue on, I think they'll continue on in a series format, not a movie format. I think once they do these movies, they're going to do other movies in other eras of Star Wars not connected to this central storyline. This is the final film of the Skywalker saga, as it's called. And so we're not, like, we may see these actors in these roles, but not like this, not coming out in theaters like this. The other thing that's funny about this whole thing is telling you is better start rewatching all the other movies right now. Because that's what this makes me want to do. I immediately go, I want to start watching Star Wars right now and watch the entire run over again. Because this, in a minute and a bit, they go through the entire, first 8 movies in this series. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, and then we get into the new shots. Oh, that's not new. That's old.
No. There's still lots of.
So we get into the new shots, right? Okay, that's all there. Is this a new shot of Rey?
Yeah, that's new.
Okay, so we see Rey, some kind of looking.
Something.
She's got a hood on.
Something's on. Well, we see that planet getting blasted.
Yeah. At
a certain point, it looks like. Oh, look. Is that dark Rey to start? Like right there? Is she like going dark there?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It looks like it's either that or it's a reflection of Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
We're looking at the very first shot.
There's a lightsaber right here, but that could be Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Okay, so then we go to this shot of, we see the gang there. Oh, there's this Christmas. They're arriving somewhere, looking over at some sort of encampment, or
I think those are the folks who showed up when Leia sent the beacon.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, that's because it's very, very possible.
I am guessing that Lando Calrissian is in there.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense.
But he's not in the trailer, but I think he might be in this village.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Good. And then so they're coming. Now this is great. This is a shot of Leia. This is new footage. This is not from now. Clearly, it's the same wardrobe and stuff from the Last Jedi, but this is part of the repurposed footage, or even
Force
from
Awakens,
Force Awakens rather. So it's great to see her again. It's gonna be very sad when we see her in the film. So that's awesome. Then we go to. And this is the story of a generation. That's when it got me like emotional when I started thinking of that, because it absolutely is a story of a generation. We see all these ships starting to arrive, and look at that. That's the little Rebel blockade runner right there.
We've got
the Falcon. We've got a bunch of X-wings, Y-wings, B-wings.
Bad ships, and we've got good ships, all coming out of hyperspace.
The blockade runner. How old is that thing now? That's got to be like, it's 30.
You think it's the same one?
Well, I don't know.
But you know what's interesting here?
This is a great shot too of all the Star Destroyers.
The Star Destroyers are all in blue.
Well, there's a lightning storm or something coming in behind
Right,
him.
but the good guys are kind of red tinged here. The bad guys are blue tinged.
Right.
So it makes you think about the poster where Rey's in blue.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
Kylo's in red, and you're like, who's the good one?
Now, is it just me or 3PO's eyes red in this shot?
They are.
So what is with that?
Why?
Are his eyes usually red? I'm not.
No,
noticed
they're
that.
not usually red. That's absolutely. I mean, the fact that that so many people are talking about this trailer and just letting that breeze by. I think it's because there's so much to talk about in the rest of the trailer.
Evil 3PO.
Well, that's what he looks like, doesn't he? He looks like bad 3PO. And we've seen.
Oh, man.
We have seen promo images of him holding Chewbacca's bandolier.
Right? Yeah.
So, and I think those have played pretty much everything in those promo images has proven to be true. So I think maybe he gets turned to the dark side. Maybe he gets pre-programmed or something by somebody.
We see this is the planet getting blasted. This certainly does not look like Death Star level blasting here. This is like a Star Destroyer or something. So that's not like they're bringing back another Death Star. Rey in the forest throwing her lightsaber.
Force throw, cutting a tree.
Yeah, cutting a tree down. Then we see Kylo Ren. This is when the voiceover for the Emperor starts in.
Yeah.
So I think, obviously this is going to lead to a meeting between Kylo Ren and the Emperor.
Oh, you think Kylo Ren's going to meet the Emperor here?
I do. I think he's going to seek him out.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You don't think he's just going to fight Rey here?
I think that they're both going to feel the Emperor and come to him through the Force. But Kylo Ren is the history major here. He's the one who knows everything about. He's got Darth Vader's old helmet. He's probably been back to. If this is indeed wreckage of the Death Star on Endor, which is where that would be.
Those pieces belong in a museum that he stole.
That's right. So if he does, and that's obviously where he got the melted Darth Vader helmet. So he's probably been there already.
Yeah.
So he could go back. Now that Snoke's dead, he would go back and talk to the Emperor, right?
We should hear that voiceover again. Is it next, or let's see what's next? So it's the fight. Here.
Yes, it's him.
Okay, so what the
Okay.
hell?
It's Darth Vader back.
That's my question, right? You hear the breathing. Like, is that too much though? If he was back, would that be too much?
Well, earlier when I floated the idea that we're going to see Force Ghosts aplenty, I was sort of leading into this, which is, how can this be?
We've seen him. He shows up as Anakin when he's a Force Ghost. We've seen it. We've seen.
Yeah, but could there be
Hayden Christensen subbed in for the old actor in Return of the Jedi, so we know he does not appear as a Force Ghost as Darth Vader.
Well, but could there be two? Could there be another one we're not aware of where you're bad Force Ghost?
The evil version of you lives on the dark side.
In the Art of Force Awakens book, the original concept showed Hayden Christensen would be like, it was like a fire almost, and he would like zoom in and out from Hayden Christensen to Darth Vader.
Oh.
And the fire, this crazy fire that Kylo Ren, I think, talked to. That was among the original concepts.
Oh, okay.
So it's possible. Like, or is it just a sound effect to make us go, ooh?
I don't know, because they almost always everything that's in these trailers is included in no, because I think we are going to hear the sound. I don't know if it's going to be actually him or a recording or whatever, or even it could be a vision, Force vision, because it's this trailer. No, sorry, the special look is very distinctly divided between old and new. So all the old footage is back then, and we don't hear any sound. It's just music over images. Then we start to hear the dialogue and that kind of stuff and the sound effects as we get into the new stuff. So I think we will hear the breathing of Darth Vader at some point in this film. I just don't know what the context would be. It's difficult. I don't know. I think it would be a bit much for me. We already have the Emperor coming back. That's enough. I don't need to see Darth Vader again. He's been redeemed. Anakin's redeemed himself. He's become Anakin again. We don't want to see Darth Vader.
Why would we still be using the breathing in a trailer if he's not in it?
I don't know.
It sets a scene. It sets a mood. They own that sound, and it's related to Star Wars, so there's reasons to put it in. But I don't know. Something's up with that breathing.
Something's up with the breathing.
Well, I don't know what. I need to think about it.
Now, this is the moment I had spoiled for me, which is Rey.
Oh, everybody did.
Well, I didn't freaking want to know about it. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, Rey. We see this glimpse of Rey, and her makeup is on point, by the way. She's had time to do some lipstick and stuff when she goes into the dark side. I don't know why that is, but she's got this weird looking double prong. Looks like a tuning.
Is there something off with the face?
What do you mean?
Is there something odd going on?
Her makeup. I
Burned
told you
on
she's
that
got
side?
makeup.
But is it burnt? Is she burned?
I mean,
on
it's a reflection on the lightsaber. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But it's like this two-pronged, looks like a tuning fork kind of thing, and then she flips one side around and it becomes like a Darth Maul kind of staff, like a lightsaber staff, like he has. And that's at like a split second clip. Boom. So Rey goes to the dark side is what we're meant to.
Let's watch it one more time. Let's see this. I
wanna
can't
see
get
the whole-
enough of this.
just
No,
the-
just the
end part?
Yeah. Let's see this.
Put the music up. Force vision.
Ooh.
I'm calling it right now. That's a force vision. That does not happen in the
It
movie.
looks like Luke and the Dagobah tree.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yep.
If it's not that, I don't. I think it's clone. Maybe could be clone.
I never thought of that. Okay.
Clones exist in Star Wars, and let me throw this one at you.
Clones exist in Star Wars.
We see Rey being left on Jakku in the Force
Sure.
vision.
Yeah.
As a little girl. What if there's 10 of these Reys who are left on different planets?
What if Rey is a genetically engineered? What if she is a Skywalker,
Right.
But she's been cloned from like his DNA or something.
Clone from Anakin's DNA.
Yeah.
From Vader's DNA.
Holy crap.
Easy, right? Done. And each one of the Reys are on a different planet. He's placed them there so he can pick and choose as he desires.
So this isn't the Rey we know. This is a different one.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think there's a series of clones.
Oh my God.
The Emperor's plan involved that.
Did you just come up with that, or did you hear that somewhere else?
No, he just came up with it.
That's your most solid theory ever.
It's not bad, eh?
That's pretty good.
Because what?
Not a spoiler.
No.
Speculation.
Speculation is not a spoiler. We have said it makes sense. That's what I like about it. And it also, once again, makes her a Skywalker.
Well, technically, she's got the genetic material of a Skywalker.
Right.
But if she was just dropped off, like the Rey that we know, the one we've come to know through who doesn't know anything about this, and they might not know anything about it, maybe like he kept track of all of them and she just got forgotten, right? Yeah. And she grew up on Jakku not knowing anything. And meanwhile, the other ones he picked up when they were kids and then raised them to be a Sith.
Right. That doesn't preclude Rey still being still potentially being brother and sister with Kylo Ren. That could still be the case.
Technically, it is. Again, it's technically you're my sister kind of thing.
Or could she be a clone of Kylo?
No.
No, probably not.
I like the idea of her being honestly a clone of Anakin because like I said this way back when The Force Awakens comes out. She exhibits a lot of the same qualities as Anakin Skywalker in that film.
I just thought of it. How about the scene in the cave where there's 100 of her all lined up doing the finger snap?
Holy shit, Kenton.
It's all because we've done it.
We've done it. We figured it out. No, you don't even need to see the movie now.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
It absolutely makes sense.
But then when they look in the fogged glass, we see outlines of two people, right? When she looks into the fog glass, when we think we're going to see the reveal of her parents. So I don't know. Who would they be?
I'm watching The Last Jedi. It's the Emperor and it's the I don't know.
Okay. I think cloning is somehow involved in all this. Sure.
it's I don't think it's genetic manipulation. It's not quite cloning. Because she's not a direct clone of anybody, right? Anybody we know.
But we know the Emperor had a clone army made in the prequels, so we know we know that's something that he's been
okay. But
involved
Anakin's
with.
children are Luke and Leia, right? So, but if also
and they're really his kids, they're not
like
clones,
but they also have Padme's DNA in them as well,
right?
So if this was if she was like a female clone of Anakin, like if you thought of her as like just a different gender, same exact DNA properties, same midichlorians, but a female instead of a male. That's what I'm thinking this is.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That holds water. Now that we've got details to iron out here, but for the most part, I think I'm trying to think what else it could be. I mean, it could be
Well,
that,
it could be a Force vision. It could absolutely be a Force vision.
and it could be that Rey has a twin. That Rey has a twin.
Sure, twins run in the family, right?
Right.
Right.
But that particular, at that last shot, seeing that last shot, that looks like somebody who's not completely human.
Well, it looks very different from the Rey we know. So it's either, or there's the possibility that Palpatine converts her to the dark side.
I don't
which
think
could
so,
happen as
though.
well. But that would be pretty obvious, and I think then we'd have to go through the whole process of her coming back from that because there's no
how
way.
much time is in this movie?
Exactly.
You
There's
can't-
no way that Rey that we know and love over the last 2 movies goes to the dark side and doesn't come back. Right?
No,
She's
I don't
got to
think
end
so.
up being a good person in the end.
Unless
so.
they have 3 more movies up their sleeve that they're not telling us
I don't
about.
know. None of us know. This is the last one. They just made a big deal out of this being the last one.
Yeah, so I think I think
Holy
so
crap.
too. But I think I like the we're dropping them off in different planets and different scenarios here. I kind of like that whole idea, and however many Reys there were in that cave vision, that might be how many there actually are. There's like 100.
It could be an infinite amount. So what happens to your Han Solo theory there that she's Han Solo's daughter?
That still doesn't preclude. I mean, we know Luke and Leia have the same DNA, so there's still.
But you said, I remember you making a point, they made such a big deal of them having a good connection in the first film.
Yep.
Why do that unless there's something going on down the line with that?
There may very well be. There may be the cloning that we're imagining happening could be from the offspring, could be from like maybe Rey really was a child that Han and Leia had, but Han was unaware of. And we don't know what the backstory is there. So there might have been, and if Snoke was certainly working for or possessed by the Emperor, he would certainly have access to
the other theory out there right now is that Snoke was indeed the Emperor. But why bother being Snoke? Why not just be the Emperor? Right? Why do all that to start a different thing that's the same as the Empire but called something different?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Who cares? Just bring the Empire back.
Well,
right? Why go through the effort of creating a new brand when you've got a really solid brand?
We know
right
there's
there?
those new Sith troopers. So with those Sith troopers, there's maybe this weirdo dark clone Jedi army or Sith army. And they've been hiding out. And that's certainly a theory that's out there that the Emperor's been hiding out all this time. And with the fleet.
And we also know that, or we think that we know that we're going to see the Knights of Ren in this.
Oh yeah,
right? I think that
it's on the cover of Pablo's book.
Yeah.
One of the Knights of Ren. So how they fit in, I don't know. But that's something that we need to hash out. We've been on the Force Ghost thing from the very beginning, from the minute after Last Jedi. But I think this shot of Rey raises so many questions. I mean, it's really got that's an image that's got all of the online world to buzz because nobody really. We thought we were going to see a pretty straight ahead battle of good and bad, and then you see that and you're like, well, maybe. Who knows? It might be more complicated.
Like I just think of the storytelling devices and what they've done so far. I think back to even when we saw The Force Awakens, and within the first 20 minutes of the movie, we find out that Kylo Ren is Han Solo's son. Like that's just boom, they just dropped it. That's a reveal. Here you go. Move on with the rest of it. They could do that early on as well. Like they could cover all the stuff of the Emperor right off the bat, and then we can get into the main story of the film.
Well, the lightsaber battle between Rey and Kylo Ren that we see might actually happen earlier in the movie. Because when I first saw that picture, I thought that's got to be the climactic battle. But now, when you see that dark Rey at the end, you're like, nah, that's got to be. It's bigger than that.
Yeah,
like
it's bigger than those two have had like a couple of different fights. Although they didn't really fight that much in the second movie. But they will have a small fight here. I think they kind of keep coming back to each other. But I think you're right. That's not going to be the main.
It's a mid-movie battle kind of thing, or maybe early movie battle. Maybe one of them doesn't make it out. Maybe they both do. Maybe they join forces. It's so hard to know. But I think the clone. I'm going with cloning on that one.
All right. Well,
I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. At first, I was going to say I was just like it's a red herring. It's a Force vision. It's like Rey. It's like Luke in the tree seeing himself. But I gotta say I like your theory. I like your theory. I think it's fun. It kind of is different.
We've laid the groundwork for
it's
clones.
It's absolutely possible in this universe, like the clone thing. If the Emperor is back, then there's got to be clones of some kind, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I really think that's a solid. It's a solid theory.
And this just came out this morning, so we're gonna think on this for a week.
Yeah.
And see what else we can. You know what? Maybe it's time. Is it time to dust off our last predictions?
Maybe
Again, and
yeah.
maybe like just see what we said. I have them written down. I carry them around with me at all times. So.
I'm going to go by, we have to wrap things up right now,
Yeah.
but I'm going to go through all. We had lots of great interactions on our Facebook group talking
Yeah.
about the poster, the Mandalorian trailer. Please join our Facebook group and chime in on the conversation and let us know what you think, and we'll read out some of those comments next episode. Also, as I say, I'm going to start posting older rewatches as we lead into the release of this film. We'll watch all the old ones together again through the podcast. So that's gonna be a lot of fun as well. So, all right, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
Going to Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
TK421, do you copy?
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
I'm taking an awful risk,